The ultimate destination is the United States, and thank you for having me on this morning, Michael. And I think it's important for people to realize that you're talking about the big macro numbers, but CBP is arresting people from over 160 different nations around this country on a daily basis. It's not just a Mexico issue or Latin America or even a Western Hemisphere issue. It's a serious threat to this country. The reality is much worse. Thank you so much for keying that up. So right now today, a lot of the people that you see on the video loops you just discussed, those are people that are trying to take advantage of loopholes in the asylum system. But the cartel uses that massive number of people to shape the border every single day. What does that mean? That means overwhelm all the law enforcement so they can create gaps to bring in something else. The United States Border Patrol has documented with evidence over 1.6 million known gotaways just since this administration took over. And they report those through court documents and other things. That's 1.6 that they million they know about. But what America needs to understand is the Border Patrol reacting to these huge groups that forces them to leave hundreds and hundreds of miles of border completely wide open. And when the border wall system was terminated, so was the technology that was going in with that, the cameras and the sensor systems. So there's literally no eyes and ears on a significant part of the US border with Mexico and for Canada for that matter when agents are not out there. And right now, agents are not out there. They're busy processing. So the solution really is, and thank you for bringing that up too. I worked for different administrations going back to 1992. And the thing at the end of the day is there has to be a consequence. There has to be some kind of law and order for laws to mean anything. We are constantly working on that. So not all solutions are perfect. Not everybody likes them, but you need to put the judicial process in the right order. People should not get released into the United States until a judge has adjudicated their case. The Remain in Mexico program did that. When this administration came in and they turned over that policy on day one, they created a system or they recreated a system called catch and release. And there's really no enforcement you can do at the border that's going to overwhelm that because what happens when they meet a Border Patrol agent, the chances of that individual getting released into the United States is very, very high. Their court date is years down the road and they're never going to be seen again. That incentive is what is creating this massive wave. It's going to compound the problem. It's more of a draw. People don't understand every single alien that's released into the United States does exactly what you or I would do when you get to a destination. They call home and they tell their relatives how the trip went and where they're at. That message gets out that hey, I'm not only am I in the US, I was released and I don't even have to show up for court for a couple of years. And then now if I'm from Venezuela, I have this temporary permit to work. And then that does expand and that is a huge draw. But people need to understand too, we keep talking about this as a border issue. The border is a transit location. Nothing stays at that border. And over 2 million, or I'm sorry, over 1.8 million people encountered this last year were adults, single adults. It's not the families that you see Border Patrol overwhelmed with. Those are the ones that waited for Border Patrol. It's the ones you talked about that are trying to get away. That's the threat. Unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me, and we talk about it with Mexico, but that cartel operates within the United States as well. When I was a high school kid in Nogales, Arizona, they were constantly trying to recruit high school kids to bring narcotics or illegal aliens across the border. That's a real threat to our next generation and our current generation. But every fentanyl death in this country that came across the southwest border, that's fueling the cartel. They have so much cash, and we're just giving them more right now. It really is. And again, people think this is a border issue. It's not. Look at your own local community. Look at the fentanyl deaths across the United States. Look at the narcotics deaths. Look at the border itself right now with the massive chaos that's going on. There are more border crossing related deaths than there have been in many, many, many years. Every one of those deaths, whether it's an American or a migrant, is a tragedy. And I think we had solutions in place, but they were bipartisan solutions. The border was getting more and more secure. And by the way, a secure border supports legal immigration. And then we can finally get to have that conversation. But if you can't control who and what is coming into your home, you can't have that conversation. Thank you for having me on this morning, Michael.